The President Trump's administration has issued a notice in its steps to hit India with about 50% tariffs from Wednesday. Now, the Indian Prime Minister, in response, has appealed for Indians to purchase Indian goods only to counter the tariffs. Now, Trump's tariff rhetoric has also pushed the Indian government to push through the much-needed reforms. India, however, has vowed to not back down. On Sunday, speaking at a rally in Ahmedabad, the Indian Prime Minister said that India will withstand the pressure and will keep increasing its strength.
देश के लघु उद्यमी हो, किसान हो, पशुपालक हो, हर किसी के लिए मैं आपको बार बार वादा करता हूं, मोदी के लिए आपके हित सर्वोपरि है.
Now, the Indian government is speeding up policy changes such as the GST overhaul. This is to try and shore up confidence and growth within the economy amidst a looming 50% tariffs on Indian exports to the United States. Now, the government aims to reduce compliance costs for firms, abolish redundant taxes, and also simplify tax rules. And these are some of the tricky reforms that businesses and economists have long argued are holding back investments in India. Now, the government is also considering some financial support for exporters to soften the blow from the American tariffs. Textiles, jewelry and footwear are amongst the industries that are expected to be the hardest hit. The 50% figure singles out India more severely than other major trading partners. The new tariff is expected to impact India's $87 billion worth of goods that are exported to the United States in 2024. Key affected sectors include garments, gems and jewelry and petrochemicals. The U.S. runs a $45.7 billion trade deficit with India, and Trump has been pressing for greater access to India's agricultural and dairy markets. Indian negotiators have resisted the demand, citing risks to millions of farmers. On the other hand, the U.S. exports to India may now face some retaliatory measures, and India exports manufactured goods and energy like LNG and crude oil worth $42 billion. Now, Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian goods imports do not include smartphones, computers and other electronic devices. Now, what is interesting is that these goods are currently exempt under the April 2025 reciprocal policy. Services exports also do not come under the tariffs. Now, the White House has also confirmed that all 2nd of April exemptions at this moment still remain intact. And apart from smartphones, computers and electronic devices, Indian pharma, metals and auto sectors get relief even as broader tariffs take effect. Now, these carve-outs are crucial for India because they represent some of the highest value and most strategic export sectors, and that is some relief for India, especially given its high trade surplus with the United States and recent friction over the tariffs. Now, India's 25% tariff will now apply to a wide range of exports not covered by the exemptions, and this includes textiles, electronics, machinery, chemicals and other mass market goods. All right, now joining us in the broadcast, we've got Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, who is a former Finance Secretary of India and has served in various key positions for both the Union government and also the government of Rajasthan as Principal Secretary of Finance. Mr. Garg, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION.
Thank you.
Now, the question, of course, is this. These 50% tariffs will come into effect from tomorrow. But is there a room for some kind of a resolution? How do you see any kind of negotiations going forward? And if there is a chance for a resolution, how soon could that happen?
See, there is no chance of any resolution. The United States have issued that draft notification today. This will come into effect from 9:30 a.m. tomorrow India time. I don't think in the few hours which are available there is, and by the way, nobody seems to be talking either. Nobody seems to be taking any effort. And what kind of effort you can make? You are not in a position to give in to any of those 4 key demands which the Americans have been asking. You are not going to make compromise on the buying of the Russian oils. So there is no scope whatsoever at this moment of any last minute kind of resolution happening. I think these are going to come into effect tomorrow morning, India time. And with that, this 50-55% odd of the exports of India to United States are going to become dead, literally.
Right. Now, my next question to you is twofold. India has taken certain steps. GST has been rationalized. These are all done to try and soften the blow of these tariffs. In your assessment, how badly do you think this will impact the Indian economy, and are these measures sufficient to soften the blow of these tariffs?
See, there is no relation whatsoever with the GST reforms and the concessions which have been proposed with the tariff. I don't think this makes any difference. By the way, all exports were exempt from the GST earlier,
Right.
and all other domestic taxes. So taxes, GST, whether it is reduced or not reduced, makes no difference as far as exports are concerned.
Right.
So let us not see that in relation to the exports or to America getting sort of vanishing, so to say. This is more to sort of do domestic reforms. And by the way, that is still not effected. That has been announced. And the GST Council will meet on 3rd or 4th of September. Then there would be some time when these changes, whatever these changes are, there have been leaked proposals, there have been some announcements in formal way. But until the GST Council decides, and all of those are notified, that doesn't come into effect.
Right.
The only effect right now is that many consumers have postponed the purchases of automobiles, air conditioners, and others, which are expected to get a reduction in the duty. So at this moment, that is not going to make any difference to the other thing which you mentioned in the initial remarks was whether the government of India would provide some support to soften the blow by providing some fiscal support for jewelry, gems, chemicals, clothing, etc. There also, you see, 50% tariff. And this is, by the way, additional to what was there earlier. For example, textile,
Right.
it rates now something close to 61%. So you can not compensate, and there is no point in compensating. It only amounts to that the government of India is paying taxes to the government of United States. And therefore, such measures are neither sufficient nor going to make any difference, nor are desirable. So I don't see these making any difference.
Right.
As to the impact on the Indian economy, I think very clear these exports are substantial, and that would impact Indian economy. I have not assessed what kind of GDP loss, but there would be certainly significant damage to the GDP growth as well.
All right. Interesting. We'll have to see as to how this, of course, unfolds. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Garg, for joining us with that perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you.